Okay, so here we are, Module 6 of Adaptive Behaviours, a bit of a summary of what we've gone over. Before I go through that summary, there's one thing I did want to talk to you about, and that's really around our mindset. We talk about the quantum intellect thought process or the quantum intellect mindset, and that's really around understanding that you're part of a system. You'll hear us talk about our physical, mental, emotional, environmental self. We're all connected to each other, we're all connected to the system. And so the mindset that you really need to have around adaptive behaviours is a mindset that says, I am open, I do have choice, we are interconnected, everything's impacting everything else. And so I need to have the right mindset in how I approach my life. Okay, so what did we cover in the previous weeks? So first of all, we talked about why do we need to adapt, and we talked about the intergenerational workplace, how we've got 4 generations. We talked about all the changes that go on in organisations and organisations that have lost and been created, and just this fast-paced changing world that we're in, and our need to adapt to that. And remember, we also talked about the fact that you're actually really good at it already, because you're already doing things differently today than you did last year, to 2 years ago, to 5 years ago, to 10 years ago, with the different technology we use, LinkedIn, iPhone, smartphones, all that stuff. We've actually adapted our behaviour, and we adapt our behaviour all the time. So if someone tells you you're not adaptive, that's not true. If you think you're not adaptive, that's not true. And actually, the crux of it, when we really think about it, is actually having self-awareness around how we are reacting to situations, and then understanding that we have a power of choice around what we do in our reactions to those situations. We talked a little bit about neuroplasticity. So remember Norman Doidge, great books to read or download on your Kindle or whatever it is. Some really interesting stuff going on around neuroplasticity. So our brains can rewire, and there's been some remarkable things. Again, I'm not saying it's something that happens just quickly and easily, but what I am saying to you is there's some really great research that shows we can actually rewire our brains and learn new things effectively. We talked about the conscious and subconscious mind. So the conscious mind that's kind of doing all that logical reasoning, holds 5 to 7 pieces of information, and a subconscious mind that's effectively there running the body and running what we do in our day-to-day lives, and storing all that information and learning all that information. We talked about the power of choice, so our ability to actually choose how we might react to a situation if we learn to catch ourselves, or even the choice that we might have when we get up during the day. And look, I get up sometimes in the morning and I might be feeling tired, didn't sleep enough, or just feeling a little bit grumpy about my day. Please don't get me wrong, everybody does it, but it's about that ability to catch ourselves and actually say, you know what, I can choose to have a different attitude to my day. I can choose to go into that meeting with a different attitude. And if I go into that meeting, for example, that I think might be a bit confrontational or a bit scary, and I'm feeling positive and I'm saying positive things about it, I'll tell you what, you're going to walk into the room and exude that type of energy off for other people anyway, and you'll be surprised at what a difference you can make. We talked about our need to build rapport with people. That can really help us when we're trying to adapt our own and other people's behaviours. So our ability to actually build rapport is really important. We talked about perception and reality. So the fact that you and me might see a situation and actually see it from a really different lens because of our subconscious mind and our previous experience. And so really understanding how I perceive something and how someone else might perceive something can make a really big difference. Just sit down and say, hey, we had that meeting. How did you see what happened? And you'll be amazed at how people have similar and different views to you. We talked about unconscious bias and diversity a little bit, so that we all have these unconscious biases, and they're there for a really good reason in our subconscious mind, but they can actually, again, stop us being adaptive in a situation because we're fixed about this is the way that thing is always done, or this is what these people always look like, or that person always says this. We can develop these biases over time that actually stop us from being able to adapt and flex. So our ability to actually understand those unconscious biases can really help us be more adaptive and flexible. And then we talked about 6 sort of different behaviours: self-awareness, positive outlook, being able to adapt, empathy, conflict management and influence, and how those things are things that we need to really practice to have adaptive behaviours. So in summary, I just want to say to you, just remember, in the end, it's all about conscious awareness. So underpinning everything is about having self-awareness around what's going on for us and what's going on for other people. And our ability to adapt is actually initially our ability to tap into that self-awareness and then understand we have power of choice, about how we manage ourselves in a situation. But lastly, just remember, you are adaptive. You do adapt every day to different things. You have adapted to the changes in humanity over time. Even if you think you haven't, you have. So just be positive and remember, I'm an adaptive person. I can adapt. Thanks very much.